to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico DeHaan and Paige Clark.
Good morning, I'm Nico DeHaan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. And I'm Paige Clark.
And it's a beautiful morning in downtown Clearwater, 75 degrees. The sun is shining. It's going to be a beautiful day in the low 90s later in the afternoon, but it's just fabulous over here.
Yeah, it's kind of hot, but hopefully it's nice wherever you are. And if you have questions for the show, we want to hear from you. So contact me at Paige@TFNN.com.
And Nico at TFNN.com for me, and we are taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648.
Bright and early.
Yeah, bright and early, and you know what I like first thing in the morning is a little music.
Absolutely, the sound of healing, and we're going to talk about some artists that really brought the sound of healing to their work. And what we found out, Nico, with this article that we want to kind of go over is doctors are now prescribing music therapy.
Well, when I think back to our ancient ancestors, music was always around for just getting together, for any time there's a group session. I know when I go out and go up to the beach and sit around the fire in California when we're out in the Pan Ams, usually somebody there with a guitar, or we're listening to some kind of music.
Or a drum circle type of thing?
Drum circles, and I see our ancient ancestors used the music and the smoke and the rhythm of music as the basis for healing.
Well, it's even actually more scientific than you would even think. And our ancestors, as we find out, were wise way beyond what we can even imagine today. But the healing is actually frequency. Yeah. So when we talk about energy medicine, sound and light are really the same frequencies. And that's how our body actually communicates. And
no doubt about it. And what it brings to mind for me is that we always naturally did these things. And we still today, music is a huge part of just about everybody's life. In my life, music has always been a huge thing, starting as far back as I can remember. We had all these songs from Holland. Then in Canada, we started getting some of the influences from America. And then when I moved to the United States in 1963, in Canada, they were already playing the Beatles about a year before the Americans got it. Mm-hmm. So there was a huge upwelling of, oh my God, this music is so, so nice. And then I was going into college, and the Beatles were going, and that really changed my perspective. It's when I started getting interested in music to start playing again, because I played accordion and messed around with the guitar, but my best buddy, Rick, bought me a guitar. I think I was in my 20s, and he says, you need to play, I'm playing.
Well, what a lot of people don't know is that intro to our show, Nico composed that.
Well, actually, no, that's a song that Rick composed.
Oh, Rick did. Okay, well, so you guys did it together.
Yeah, we did it together.
But that's you playing it.
Yeah, well,
both you guys, you and Rick?
on there, yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great thing. In fact, I was going to use a couple of my things, but some of his stuff is so catchy that I needed to use his.
Well, you guys are real cute together when you play. And
it was definitely a good bond over many years, and we still play together.
But this article was from Dig Project, and doctors are now prescribing therapy for heart ailments, brain dysfunction, learning disabilities, depression, PSD, Alzheimer's, childhood development, and more. And again, folks, this is the kind of healing we want to see. This is healing doesn't have side effects. It doesn't cause malfunction in the body, and it's actually really good for it. So let's talk about some of the benefits. Music helps control blood pressure and heart-related disorders.
Yeah, that's the first thing, and this was according to the Cardiovascular Society of Great Britain. Listening to certain music with a repetitive rhythm for at least 10 seconds can lead to a decrease in blood pressure and a reduced heart rate.
And actually, classical music, the classical music has really been revered for its healing abilities.
Well, I think classical music was the first thing I was really exposed to because my dad was a huge opera fan. He was also huge into Beethoven and all of the great artists from the 1700s. And so in our music, my dad was either singing it, humming it, whistling it, or it was actually playing in our house. And that's how I got to love all the classical music. Even when rock was big and everything, I always went to the classics to kind of soothe myself.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah, it's huge. The second thing here on the list is listening and playing music helps treat stress and depression, of course, and this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, when it comes to the human brain, music is one of the best medicines. And a study out of McGill University in Canada reveals that listening to agreeable music encourages the production of beneficial brain chemicals, specifically our feel-good hormones, our endorphins, or such as dopamine.
Right. As a result, music leads to a great feeling of joy and bliss. And it's not only listening to music that has a positive effect on the stress and depression. This foundation called NAM has compiled a comprehensive list of benefits of playing music, which includes reducing stress on both the emotional level and the molecular level.
Probably see much lower inflammation. As a result of
I
that.
think that is the result. Studies have shown that adults who play music produce higher levels of HGH.
Right, human growth hormone.
Which, according to the WebMD, is necessary as a necessary hormone for regulating the body compositions, the body fuels, muscle and bone growth, as well as the sugar and fat metabolism. And
There you
the
go.
heart
Instead
function.
of getting all these chemical synthetic cocktails, just turn on the tunes, folks.
Yeah, so that's huge.
And it helps Alzheimer's disease. It's worked wonders on patients with suffering Alzheimer's disease. I saw a video, I've got it in my mind, of this woman that worked with nursing home people, and she would go in and sing Christmas carols or gospel music. And, these people might not respond, but when they hear an old gospel song, they just come out of their closet where they've been.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing.
When Rick and I first started playing music together, we used to go to the nursing homes and to the old folks' homes and spend, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, and
that's
sitting in a
nice.
circle with these people and just playing. And they were just so appreciative. And it was one of the great moments that Rick and I shared together when we left there. We said, oh, man, this is why people play. It's not for the money, for anything else. It's strictly for the pleasure that
shared
you can
joy.
give. Yeah, give other people.
Yeah, I like that, Nico, and that's really a nice gesture that you all did. It also helps boost academic achievements in high schoolers, as well as helps to boost children's brains. I'm sure we're going to see that shortly, but in vitro, when babies are in the mother's uterus, hearing classical music and beautiful music that matches the human rhythm is really powerful.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Helping the baby's brain develop.
You want to do rap music
Yeah,
to the
well,
baby.
that's not in sync, and we're going to learn a little bit about Michael Terrell, founder of Whole Tones, and how he found music that resonated with the human cells. But early exposure to music increases the plasticity. Neuroplasticity means the creation of new neural pathways, and it helps to, this helps to motivate the human brain's capacity in such a way that it is ready to learn, ready to change and keep growing.
Yeah, so we're going to
Cool
keep
stuff.
growing too with this report.
We're going to keep
because,
growing with this info. It's
I'll
important.
tell you, there's so many things in here, and it's wonderful. I'd like to remind the folks to pick up some Primal Edge and pick up our newsletter. I have a new one I'm working on right now coming out next
It's
week.
good stuff. We work all week to get you great information,
Yeah.
so join in on the conversation
And
with the
we're going
newsletter.
to tell you about the special webinar we got coming up too, so we'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. I'd like to remind people to, on the August 4th, we're having a live event called the Live Webinar, Beyond Diet, Exercise, and Supplements, what you really need to know to go beyond what we really know about diet and exercise and the
Yeah, we're
supplements
going to really
taking.
share information
Yeah.
that we've researched, and not so much about highlighting the news, but really kind of trying to give them some 1, 2, 3 things to know that are the most important things.
I think so, and today everything's changed. And also, I'd like you to go to the
Check
website.
out our exercise of the day.
Yeah, this is really important. These are rollers that they're using, and there's different kinds of rollers. But if you're not using a foam roller to get rid of your aches and pains, you're really missing the boat here. It's a great way to do it, and we've got that featured this.
Loosens
for the
up
next
congestion
2
in the
weeks.
fascia, and it actually is a way of releasing toxins and so
Yeah.
forth, too.
Yeah.
So it's super. So let's get back to our discussion of how music is healing to us. We were talking about how it increased the performance of high schoolers, and there's studies that prove that. But also playing guitar and other instruments help aid people who may be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is a beautiful thing that, that people are finding a release in music.
Yeah, the thing is for me with this is that it's not only just this order. Of course, we're talking about all brain functions. And when you look at our society today with all its problems, with the violence, with the rhetoric, of course, we're in a big political season, and that doesn't help any. But anytime that you've got turmoil like this, it really shows you that the things that you hear, the things that you feel, an emotional tie to, really changes your outlook on life. Mm-hmm. So playing music, for me, this was a huge, huge thing. When I started playing, was not only hearing the music and hearing myself improve, but having people tell me, oh, that's cool. And then I started writing music, and people say, oh, I like the song, and people like your song, you want to play it more. And that tends you to get into that. I started music very early and then kind of left it alone for a while because really I just didn't think I was that great. And then all of a sudden I start picking up the guitar and I start feeling good about myself, and then later on learned to play professionally and earned money at it. So that's a huge thing in my life, and I know that anybody brought up in the 60s like I was with the music change was great. The music in the 70s was just awesome. In the 80s it started to get disco, and the 90s was a disaster.
Yeah.
And now it's even
I don't even listen to, well, that's getting off the topic, but music is beautiful. I'm very lucky in that there's a lot of people who are very musically inclined. My brother is fabulous. Like Joe Satriani.
Oh,
He can play all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
He was just, he was real broad in his approach, and he still plays, of course, and he used to play as well. But let's get back to our veterans. There's an organization called Guitar for Vets, and it's really enhancing the lives of ailing and injured military veterans by providing them free guitars and music instruction. What a wonderful gift, I think.
Yeah, and then there's another place called Operation We Are Here, has an extensive list of therapeutic music opportunities for military veterans. So you can actually click on the link. So I'll be putting this in a future Health Signals newsletter, so you can actually go there.
And as we mentioned, studying music boosts the brain development in young children. A recent study from the University of Liverpool in the field of neurosciences has light to shed on the benefit, Nico, of early exposure to music. I mentioned, letting your children, when they're, inside the uterus, hear music is extremely beneficial for the brain.
Yeah.
And even a half an hour of music training is sufficient to increase the flow of blood in the brain's left hemisphere, resulting in higher levels of early childhood development.
I know all of my friends that had parents that played music, and then so they started playing music, introduced to music very early. All were kids that seemed to be on a much more level playing field than the other kids. Emotionally, they were much more in touch with empathy and seeing how other people feel, less likely to bully other people, much more better in society, and wanting to help people.
And that's wonderful. It increases these children's reading skills. Many of them are, multi-year ahead of other children in terms of their reading ability. Look at that. That's an adorable picture. The journal Psychology of Music reports that children exposed to a multi-year program of music tuition involving training increased complex rhythmic, tonal, and practical skills displayed superior cognitive performance in reading compared with their non-musically trained peers.
Yeah, according to research-supported evidence, a song facilitates language learning far more efficiently than speech does. I have a couple of clients. I have one of my clients has a couple of boys, and I think one is like 17 and one is 9 or 10, and both of them love to read. And I know the oldest one plays piano, but they like to read more than they do like to watch TV. So
that's an unusual thing today, but I think it's great.
Yeah, I think that's great. So I think if you're not exposing your children to music, and getting them to learn music and listen to music, I think you're missing the boat. So you really need to start doing that.
And if you want to help get to sleep in a more healthy way, listen to music before you go to sleep. And according to the Center for Cardiovascular Disease in China, interesting, listening to music before and during sleep aids people who suffer from chronic sleep disorders. And
these
it helps
things do help.
Yeah, with stress or anxiety all the way to insomnia.
Yeah, one of the things I discovered when I was going to university was that I would read to myself and the stuff I was going to learn, and then I would play it over and over again at night. Just the soothing of my own voice in a nice rhythmic thing would help me, and that
Help you to remember?
And it would help
Hearing
me.
your own voice repeating.
Well, when I would
information.
go into the examination, I would tell myself that I've already know this stuff because I've been exposed to it for hours on end, and that it will magically come to me. I don't have to remember these things. I don't have to go over them. My intuition is there. And so I went through the exam rather quickly, and then would go back on anything that I missed. But I would go through it rather quickly, just going by intuition. And
Nice.
that carried me through. And it really made me, a B+ student.
There you go. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And maybe you can zoom down this instrument, the didgeridoo. How do you say that?
Dirigible?
No.
No,
This
that's
is that
the
instrument.
flying machine, yeah.
Didgeridoo helps treat sleep apnea. And
You're asking the wrong person for pronunciation. I'll tell you that.
yeah. So I thought it was a didgeridoo. But people who play this had an
Didgeridoo,
average
I think it's-
of 30 minutes per day, 6 days per week, saw significant increases in their quality of sleep and decreases in sleep apnea.
I think just being able to play that instrument, because I put my mouth on one of these, I couldn't get a sound out of it.
Yeah.
But then I'm not a real horn person type of thing, and I think it's similar to that. But the sound of that particular instrument, coming from the native people of Australia, it's a deep sound that carries for miles and miles and miles. It's an amazing, amazing thing.
Well, we love the sound of music because music is very healing. And, this is just a small sample of the types of things people are using for using music to help people heal. But I think you're going to see more and more of this as we start to return to looking at how people did things in the past and how we might benefit from those today and
Yeah.
into the future.
The guy who wrote this is this fellow right here. Nice looking fellow. Looks like he's right from the 60s.
Yeah, he does.
sense,
He looks
but,
like he likes music.
yeah,
He's
he
part
does.
of the Didge project, so he must actually play the didgeridoo.
I guess so.
Didgeridoo.
Yeah.
But I like hearing that, and I hope that we're going to have to take a break here in a second. But I'd like to. Do you want to go over and talk a little bit about whole tones? Can we show them a video?
Yeah,
about
there's a video that we're going to play after this, and these are some healing tones. This was
Michael Terrell is a Grammy Award-winning artist who has who got an inspiration on how to create music that heals the body. So we'll let you hear a little video from him and maybe get to hear a little bit about his healing music. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. I'm Paige, and I'm with Nico, and we're talking about the healing power of music. And I want to introduce my friend Michael Terrell, who is the founder of Whole Tones, the Whole Tones Frequency Music Project. And Michael is a musician, author, and speaker with a clear purpose. And his purpose is to share 7 healing frequencies that he found transform people's lives. And our ancient ancestors knew that these 7 frequencies had the power to heal and transform our bodies, our minds, and our souls.
Yeah.
And they used them. And just to give you a little background of what he found, a frequency is an everyday happening. Frequency, sound, light, it's around us all. I mean, when we speak, we make frequencies. He believes that King Saul soothed, King David, he soothed King Saul with the sound of from his lyre, right?
Oh,
his
right,
harp.
right.
And he was given, through a very serendipitous situation, he was given exposure to these healing frequencies. And there's been a lot of research, Len Horowitz and so forth, about the Savaggio frequencies and these frequencies that do extraordinary healing in our body. But he really brought it to music and brought it to life in this wonderful music project. You really need to check it out. We've got some information. I think we've got a video clip that
Yeah,
Al's
we're
going to play
that
for us.
video clip right now.
Thank you. Watch it. Listen.
By now you probably understand that music has quite an effect on people. I don't know if you've ever heard the cellist Yo-Yo Ma, for example, or the guitar player Jeff Beck, or sometimes it just takes one note, one frequency, and it can immediately bring somebody to tears or to laughter or create an image inside your mind that you'll carry with you for the rest of your life. Every part of your body has a resonant frequency. And so once we find what the resonant frequency is of, let's say, for instance, the heart, if you can reproduce that frequency, then your heart will be affected by it every time that it hears it.
This is 2014, and I've had no more problem with that at all. So, praise the Lord.
Well, I'm excited about the Healing Frequency Music Project because so many people are suffering now in our world. And even though we have some things we can do about it, medicine, psychiatry, church, people are still suffering. And I was always looking for something that I could do to help that. And when I discovered these 7 frequencies that have had a profound effect on humanity, it kind of blew my mind because 396, for example, when people listen to that, suddenly if they're feeling shame or guilt or insecurity, suddenly that just moves away and opens them up to be touched by God.
We also have a phone call, so I think we'll go to Tom to Tampa talking about kombucha. So,
Okay, and just again to let people know, check out wholetones.com, Michael Terrell's Healing Music. It's really great stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom in Tampa?
Hey there, Paige, Nico, how you guys doing?
Doing great, man.
We're doing super. It's great to
Good.
hear your voice.
Yeah, man. Hey, I got a question for you on kombucha. I get mine homemade. You know, a lot of times you see that jellyfish floating around the bottle, you know.
Yep.
I've heard people say, yeah, it's actually good for you. You can chop that up, put it in a salsa or whatever.
Yep.
Just want to get your take on that.
Well, yeah, definitely you can, and also naturally you can start a new, whole new brewing thing with the mother in there.
That's kind of the SCOBY.
The SCOBY, they call it, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, kombucha is basically a probiotic-generated drink. It's really actually a medieval soda pop. Again, our ancient ancestors knew how to preserve foods and make them more healthy so that they were rich with probiotics. So it's great that you're drinking kombucha. Shake it up a little bit, drink different varieties so you get different cultures, and don't be afraid of it. Just like apple, just like the mother and apple cider vinegar, huh?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that week Nico was out. You had a guest on there talking about kombucha. They had a restaurant over there in Clearwater.
Right.
And I was heading back from the gym that morning, Sunday morning. I'm going through these back streets in South Tampa. I live down to LA Fitness down there, anyways. I was looking down. I said, well, what is that banner up there? It says kombucha. So anyways, I pop in there, and they're back there making their kombucha, and they got their big vats back there and everything, making the stuff, and I'm talking to them.
Carolyn Kitchen, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there in the kitchen. And that Tuesday, they came on your show.
That's right.
It's funny how things like that happen.
Yeah, and that's something.
Well, that's good that you're drinking kombucha, Tom. You always make good choices.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys doing okay?
We're doing
doing great. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, the show's awesome, man. I got your newsletter this week and everything. It's really good.
Oh, thanks, man. I got a next one coming up. Is amazing. So
yeah, we got good stuff in there. We work hard to make it a good newsletter.
Thanks a lot for your call, Tom. Appreciate it.
You bet. All right, you guys have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Our buddy.
Yeah, so this healing music thing is a huge thing. It's been a part of my life, like I've said, and having people like Michael Torrell, who's also in the Healthy Fit Club, right?
Yes, he is. Well, he's really a friend of ours, and we'll be doing a lot more with him. In fact, I'm sure that he would love to be on our show.
Yeah, we should get him on for sure.
So, and believe it or not, he's got family right here in the Dunedin, Palm Harbor area. So, we'll look forward to seeing it. But again, folks, it's beautiful music. It's a wonderful gift. His Healing Frequency Music Project comes in a nice disc, so you can listen to the different frequencies as you learn how they activate different parts of our bodies.
Let me ask you a question. What's the first record that you bought? You remember the first song that you actually bought? And
The
went home
Monkees.
The Monkees. Oh,
Daydream believer and my dad took me to see the Monkees when I was 4.
Really?
Because I was just like a little girl, and the Monkees show was out, and whenever I hear the Monkees, that brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah, my first influences were the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly and Richie Valens. Those things, the harmonies of the Everly Brothers, I believe, is what really prompted people like the Beatles to get that real harmonizing in there. They took interestingly, they took things from like Little Richard and things from Elvis and things from the Everly Brothers and put it all in one little package that we call nice clean music today, as opposed to what's going on today. And after the break, I want to talk a little bit about the music that's going on today and how really it is different. So we found that article, and so we got to look at both sides of this thing. Can music be healing, but can music also be harmful? Stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Yeah, pick up some Primal Edge, folks, and please pick up our newsletter. $10 a month gets you 2 issues of the newsletter, and of course our daily supplement, Primal Edge, is only $89 if you get it shipped to your door every single month. So pick that up. It's a great way to start the day. We'll be right. You want to start this one?
Welcome back. We're talking about the healing power of music, or maybe the damage from music. And we talked about how artists like Michael Torrell have found the healing frequencies, the frequencies that are beneficial to our bodies. But did you know about mid-century, our music, the tuning of our music was switched to a frequency that is not so good for the body.
440.
Yeah, that is more disturbing to the body. And that's what a lot of our music today is based on. How does popular music's lyrics perpetuate American idiocy? I'm sorry, but this article got my attention, and since we were going to talk about this today, I wanted to throw this in. This was in Wake Up World. And even an artist from the Foo Fighters made the comment about pop music in America right now is so superficial. There's no substance in it at all. It's devoid of any meaning. And I'm not just saying that as a 45-year-old rock musician. I'm saying that as a human being. If the #1 song is about your butt, that's a problem.
That's for sure. A recent survey served to confirm the obvious, that song lyrics for the most popular genre of music is ridiculous, obtuse, and getting worse over time. Though this might not be a revelation, the figures are distressing indicators of both an intellectually vapid
societal and cultural future.
There you go. Thank
Meaning,
you
in other words, where's the intellect here? What's going on? What's the depth to these songs? How can we expect this kind of music to truly be healing? In fact, is it actually a tool to help create social unrest? Some would think that it might be.
In the water.
Some would think that there might be some indication to create hostilities, conflict, and that.
So is our modern music like the fluoride in your water?
I think that I connect the dots myself, Nico. I don't know about you. I'm sure you do too.
Well, I do. And when you do the study, which was Seat Smart, studied the lyrical intelligence of 225 Billboard songs in pop, country, hip hop, and rock genres that spent 3 or more weeks parked at the tops of the charts to analyze any changes over the last 10 years, and the changes there was.
10 years ago, the most popular songs read between a 3rd and 4th grade level, but the unity have increased that with time. After a 5-year downward tumble ending in 2014, chart-topping hits had a reading level equivalent to 2nd grade. We could go on and on with this.
Well, the hip-hop was 2.6 years.
Right.
There was a tie. R&B was 2.9, along with rock and pop.
Hey, how about your artist that you love, Carolyn Cole? Well, this is a young girl who at 14 were writing lyrics as if she was
10, actually.
At 10, she's writing lyrics. Just listen to some of her music one day. Carolyn Cole writes. She is an example of today's popular country music who has some depth, her lyrics are as if she's a walk-in from another time period.
She is. She's one of those old souls when she talks about
maybe
the
actually
emotions.
she is.
Yeah, when she was, I think, 11 or 12, she wrote this great song. She was leaving Texas to come to Florida. She was leaving her friends behind, and she was going down the road with her dad and her mother in the car, and she says, I went to another place. I went to a place where my music is. I went to this place so I could cope with the distress of leaving. And this is what we all need to do. And the song was along those lines, that every time something happened to me that was negative, I went to another place.
So
I
she went to
changed
her
my
music.
mind.
And, well, she changed her mind, and maybe, in fact, she went to her universal mind, which is her, as she's experienced herself over multiple realities.
And it's the wonderful thing about this is that her songs not only have a great musical tone and make you feel good, upbeat, but also the stories are there. And when I listen to great speakers, it's the same. When last week we heard Trump's wife, Melania, do that speech, even though some of it was plagiarized, it's a great speech and her tone was there.
Yes,
last
her
night,
inflection.
and inflections were there, so it was a beautiful, beautiful speech. And Obama last night, Michelle Obama.
Oh, she was brilliant. Yes,
Brilliant,
beautiful
brilliant
job.
speech. And you know, these people are remarkable people, and we need to really pay attention to them. This type of tone that both of these women gave were uplifting.
But again, there you go, the frequency of your voice and the delivery. So what's going on with these music lyrics? I mean, let's take this another step. It's scientifically proven that flexing the intellect can slow cognitive decline. So if we're not flexing the intellect with these songs, what are we doing? We're creating a declining intellectual society.
Of course, we have a situation in America where there's very few companies that control this. You know, we have about 6 different news companies.
Right.
And
That's
they pretty much act about the same, either getting on one side of the issue or the other side. There's never anything in between, it seems like. And it's like there's only 2 answers in America here. You know, there's this answer or this answer. There's never, you know, there's thousands of answers to this.
Yeah, we've got this music that's not really stimulating our intellectual or our creative thinking abilities. And then we've got education. And it's become the highest form of indoctrination, with teachers forcing us into regurgitating information so the students can pass tests. Just the same way we regurgitate these.
That's a good point.
We regurgitate these meaningless lyrics somewhat. And this keeps us, instead of becoming innovators and original thinkers, you know, this is what's happening to our society. And so I want us to look at our music as just a symptom or a reflection.
I think that's exactly what it is.
An instigator to all of this.
Remember,
you know?
we talked a couple of weeks ago about the violence and the traumatic things that are happening in our society as a symptom of our society, and exactly what you said. This music is also a symptom of what's actually going on. It just transcends everything. So we have the violence going on. We have people being shot all the time, whether it's terrorists. It doesn't really make any difference. There's still a symptom. And until we get to the underlying problems in our society, which is the food and our social structures, we're really not going to solve these problems, I feel. We can solve these problems as a community only. And our community really is a small community of around 100 to 150 people, maybe less or more in some cases. This is what community is. There's no such thing as a community of 300 million people.
Yeah. And I actually believe the music is a reflection of, as I said, this sort of indoctrination or creating people in little slots that we're seeing in the education system. You know, it's not this whole education system of, you know, just repeating information instead of really going through the process of problem solving. It's not only intellectually dimming, it's stressful. And in fact, instructors that are doling out the tests, Nico, are giving a set of instructions for what to do when students, you know, just vomit up their test answers. It's not really, did they go home and study? Who spent most time memorizing? What does that tell us about intelligence? That's what we do when we memorize some of these mindless songs. And yet when we learn the songs of someone that's an artist like Carolyn Cole, you know, we're having the experience that she had.
That's right.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
You know, from a political standpoint, this dumbing down makes sense. Indoctrination creates obedience, and that's what a lot of people believe is happening, that they're seeking to create obedience. If music and culture focuses on mindless diversion and education lacks, well, education, then people lack the acuity necessary to question the absurdity of the system.
I don't have much to say after that, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I want to encourage us to remember that what we it's kind of like those three monkeys, what you see, what you hear, what you speak. The things that we hear, the things that we visualize, the things that our children see, the things that our children hear and are repeating. Even, hey, we listen to pop culture, and my grandchild, he loves music, and I think he's going to be very musical, but I've noticed, he's learning these lyrics of these songs that when I say, what does that really say?
Maybe change the music.
It's not really what I wanted to be saying. So I think this is powerful stuff, folks, but, we got to take a little powerful break, and I guess we'll be back just shortly. So
yeah, time for
tuned.
a 2-minute or 3-minute song is about all the time we have, so we'll be right back, folks.
See you. Oh, I thought you were opening. That's okay. Scientists are discovering that humans have a magnetic sixth sense, and we've been talking about our senses, our sense of hearing, our sense of knowingness and everything. And so maybe this sixth sense could be involved in perception of a lot of things. We know that the animals, honeybees, lobsters, dolphins, migratory birds, they all have this sixth sense, this honing sense.
Magnetoreception, they call it.
Yeah, magnetoreception, the ability to perceive magnetic fields.
Yeah,
I feel that
internal
music,
compass type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I also believe that this may actually be, you've got a great picture on the telestrator here of this man, the toroid, which is what the heart magnetic field is. That toroid, or almost apple shape, is the magnetic field of the heart.
Also the magnetic field of the Earth and the Sun. They're
Correct.
Exactly the same torus.
As above, so below. So this toroid is actually much bigger than our bodies, expands out. So each and every one of us has a magnetic field that extends out many, many feet.
Yeah.
But I believe that music and the sound, vibration and frequency really greatly impact, and that's why when you hear something, you feel it in your heart.
Yeah, so of course music is transferred to vinyl by magnetics.
Yeah.
It's also transferred that way, when we went to tape. Also transferred that way when we do it digitally now. So it's all about magnet.
See, I didn't realize all that, but yeah.
So these frequencies are definitely there, and can we feel it? Well, they're doing studies. One recent experiment, a rotating magnetic field was passed through study participants while their brain waves were measured. He discovered that when the magnetic field was rotating counterclockwise, certain neurons responded to this change, which in turn generated a spike in electrical activity. This suggests a possible magnetic sense to humans. I think we must have this. We probably use it less and less since we have the GPS and we have maps and things like that. But what did people do before maps? They had to use something, so they had to use their senses.
And they used sound, too.
Yeah, and in the wild, of course, you can look at a tree and see where the moss is growing and knowing that's probably pointing north. Things like this are automatic. But yeah, this is a very interesting thing, and it was really along the same lines as the music thing that we were talking about. We are electric beings. Everything in the world is electric. So I think it's important to point these things out to people. If you're not doing research in this, maybe it's time you should start, because not only is it fascinating, you may learn something about yourself, too. So
that is so true. And, researchers at HeartMath Institute, they began what was called the Global Coherence Initiative. An international cooperative effort to help activate the heart of humanity and facilitate a shift in global consciousness by kind of tuning into this magnetic field that we all share. So it aims primarily to invite people to participate by actively adding more heart-coherent love, care, and compassion into the planetary field. What might happen if we listened to healing music and we focused on our intentions and attempted to connect through our magnetic fields? I think this could be a better place, because as we see the polarity in these poles and so forth, you kind of wonder what's going on as far as the peace, the peace and war and things that are going on here.
Well, I think it's more the tone, the frequency, and the cadence of how a person talks than actually what is in the words. And I think if we start listening to people this way, and I think we intuitively do, when you listen to the tone of somebody, then you know exactly what they're saying to you. I remember my mother's tone at certain times. I knew exactly what she
knew exactly what she meant.
Yeah, so it's not so much the words as the tone and the meaning behind those things.
So remember, your spoken words and your unspoken words affect the coherent global informational field, which is this coherent field. And the Earth's magnetic field is the carrier of how we feel, all these thoughts, feelings. So think good thoughts, speak good thoughts, or sayings.
Thanks for sticking around, folks.
And we'll see you next show.
Bye-bye.
You're watching Tiger TV.